YouTube. What's up, baby? We're back in this thing again for another review. This is Q's Insight. I am Callie. Today, we're going to be talking about American Horror Stories, Season 2, Episode 1. Alright? This is entitled The Dollhouse. I don't know if I did American Horror Stories, Season 1 or not. But I did see that, and if I haven't done it, maybe I'll go back and do a review on that whole season. But again, this is American Horror Stories, Season 2, Episode 1, entitled The Dollhouse. If you've been to this channel before, you already know how we do it. We started off with the premise, 3 favorite scenes, the grade, and then we on to the next one, right? So, anyways, So for this episode, we open up in 1961 in Mississippi at a toy factory, and we see a lady. Her name is Miss Dellum. She goes to have a meeting with the factory owner named Van. His first name is Van. I think it's Van Wert or Van. But anyway, his first name is Van. And he interviews her, and he's trying to interview her for, I guess, a position at the factory. She has outstanding qualities about her, and he tells her, "Oh, you're perfect for the role." Da 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 da. And all of a sudden, he's like, "But you're not hired." And she's like, "Yo, like, what are you talking about?" Da da da. He's like, "Don't worry about it. My assistant will see you out." So he gets up out of his seat and he looks out the window into the factory and sees everything that's going on. And then you hear her getting like drugged up, muffled by her assistant. I'm sorry, by Van's assistant. So he puts, he knocks her out pretty much. And then we see this dollhouse. And we go into it, and then we see Miss Dellum wakes up, and she's like in the exact replica of that dollhouse that was at the toy factory, right? And Van starts talking to her, and he tells her like this is, going to be your home for about the next week or so, and and that she's been entered into a pageant, and she doesn't want to do this, and she tries to escape, but she can't. And he tells her, there's only one way out. So anyways, he ends up leaving with his assistant, and then we meet the other woman in the house, because in that same room, there's these like mannequins just standing like posed like that. And then we actually find out that these are not actually mannequins, nor are they dolls. They're actually real people, real ladies. And they take off the mask and, they look normal, whatever, right? And so they start filling her in about, what's going on. And they tell her that Van is sick and twisted, obsessed. And he's obsessed with dolls. And he's trying to look for the perfect woman to be a mother to his child named Otis. And she says those that are not good enough for the role end up getting discarded, which means they end up getting killed. So Harleen is one of the I guess you say one of the women that are there, and she tries to make Miss Dellum more comfortable about what's going on and everything like that, and but she's still trying to escape. Like, she doesn't care about none of that stuff. So Harleen says there's only one way out of here, and you don't want to go that way. So basically meaning that there's no way to escape except for if he kills you. That's death. So Miss Dellum looks out the window, and she sees, like, at this other house across the way, she sees someone looking out the window back at her. And you're like, who is that? Whatever, da da da. So she brings this up to Harleen, and she tells her, and Arlene tells her that, oh, that was Otis. That's Van's son. And then she tells her the story of how his mother died, which is Van, I guess, wasn't pleasing his wife, and so she started cheating on him. Van found out about it, and he basically had his assistant throw them both down a well. So that's how they died. Although he told everybody else that she went on a boat in the lake or something like that, and the boat ended up turning over and she ended up drowning. So that's craziness, right? Then this bell rings and Harleen tells Miss Dellum that they are coming, so you have to get ready. So everybody gets dressed up in the doll's like clothes, the doll get ups, and then pick a spot in the room, and then they don't move or they don't speak unless they're spoken to or asked to move. So they pretend like to be like real dolls. Otis comes in with his father and it's playtime, and basically Otis ends up meeting Miss Dellum because he notices that this is a new doll, and she says, "My name is Kobe the Clown," and Otis doesn't like clowns, and he doesn't like magic, and she ends up changing his mind about the magic because she ends up making his car move by itself. And he's like, "Yo, like I never seen that before. Do that again," because he knows that there's no wheels. There's no way she should have been able to do this without really having magic. So he says, "Do it again," and she does do it. And this, like, pretty much makes her an eye opener to Otis right off the bat. So Ursula is one of the other ladies that's in this pageant per se. And she asks Miss Dellum, like, what was up with that trick that you used? Like, was that voodoo or something like that? And Miss Dellum tells her her uncle used to be into magic and taught her a few things. And Oriella, she ends up getting mad at this, and and she's like, I'm gonna win. You ain't gonna win. Just because you can do magic and all stuff like that, and you seem to be, Van's favorite girl because he pulled you in here, and you're getting close to Otis. Don't think you're gonna win. I'm gonna be the one to win or whatever. Anyways, from there, we see Van returns. So they all, get back in the costume, and there's this event challenge for the day, and it's basically setting up dinnerware for lunch. So they have to put the knives and the forks and the plates and the bowls and everything like that fold up the napkin. They got to make everything perfect, and if everything is not perfect, you get these points, and these points aren't good. They're bad points. So if you get a certain amount of points, whoever has the most points for doing the wrong things ends up getting killed. So we see that Miss Dellum tries to copy off of Ariella's thing. Ariella sees that and she like switches things like real quick. She's like, "Yeah, I got you." You know what I'm saying? Like, so she does mess up, but there is one lady that messes up more than Miss Dellum does, and her name is Faye. So they end up killing Faye, and the rest of them get to live for another day. Then we go to a scene where Otis is like chilling with Miss Dellum, and like I said, you can see that they're getting real close. He tells her that I hope you win because I want you to be my mom. And Miss Dellum tries to tell Otis, like, look, tell your dad not to get rid of any of the girls, which means kill them if they're not appreciated as, the mother. I will be your mom and I'll be the best mom you ever have, but tell your dad not to kill no more of the ladies. And then Otis says that, he'll talk to, his father about it, right? And then it's nighttime, and we find out through this phone call that Van is having that business isn't going so well, because there's these other toy makers, and he makes porcelain dolls, and this is the time where Barbie's coming in the fray and stuff like that. So he's losing business, and his higher ups are like, yo, like this is not looking good. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, after he gets off the phone, Otis asks his dad about well, Van has a talk with Otis, and then as Otis is about to ask his dad about what Miss Dellum says, he ends up like shutting off, like, never mind, it was nothing, I'm going to bed. So he lets him go and he goes to bed. The next day comes and there's a new challenge for the girls, and it's like ironing this shirt and folding it and everything like that. Everything has to be on point. So they start doing the challenge, and when Miss Dellum gets evaluated, um, Van sees that she overstarched things, but also beyond that, she burnt the shirt. So he takes the iron and he burns her hand. He's like, don't forget this lesson. And then we see that basically one of the other girls did a worse job than she did. So she gets killed. And then the rest of the three are able to go on to the next day. And Van is like, okay, well, tomorrow's going to be the last challenge. Whoever wins will be the mother of Otis. And the other two, they're going to die. So Ariella is mad still and jealous of Miss Dellum, and she tries to kill Miss Dellum. She goes to stab her, but it's not really her. It's like the doll or whatever in that outfit that she would usually wear. And then Miss Dellum was like Miss Dellum and Harleen are like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Da, da, da. And Ariella's like, I've had it. Da, 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 da. And so Miss Dellum was like, look, I got a plan and we're all gonna escape together. You know what I'm saying? So they end up making up this plan to escape. And so the next day comes and Van arrives to tell them about what's the final test. But their plan is in motion, right? And we see that the three girls sneak outside in order to leave the estate, while there's three porcelain, there's three dolls dressed up as them, you know what I'm saying? Like they're mannequins, like dressed up as them. So he's thinking that he's really talking to them, but they're not. He's really not. And then they're running out. They're trying to escape. So anyways, once they get outside, Miss Dellum stops and tells the other two that, hey, we gotta save Otis. And the other two are like, bro, we're going. Like, we ain't saving Otis. Like, you can go ahead and do your thing. So Harleen and Ariella leave, and Miss Dellum goes to save Otis. So Miss Dellum goes to Otis, and she tells him, like, hey, I'm about to escape, but I want you to come with me. And Otis ends up electrocuting her, bro, and makes her pass out. And we're like, yo, like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? And then Ariella and Harleen, they end up both getting shot. So they're dead. And then Van ends up Miss Dellum wakes up, and Van ends up telling Miss Dellum that he knew her plan all along, that the dolls that were in the house had, like microphones or whatever it may have been. So he's heard everything that happened throughout this whole time. He knew everything, and he knew that they were going to try to escape. And so he switched the plan up to be, instead of that final challenge being whatever was in the house, to I'm going to let them escape, and whoever ends up going back to save Otis will be the winner. Other two didn't. She did. And then those two end up dying, and she's alive. So she's the winner. So anyways, his whole thing is that now he's about to make her into a real doll. So he freaking gets this cast iron and layers like plastic over her and burns it onto her, pretty much, per se. And now she's like a living doll. And then the next day comes, or a couple of days have passed, whatever you want to say, and she ends up serving everyone tea, like Otis and Van and the assistant. He doesn't really do anything at all. He just like does what Van says, but that's it. So anyways, we see Otis is like, I'm happy that she's my mother, but I'm sad that she doesn't talk. And then Van is like, oh, don't worry, after a little while, she'll end up starting talking more, and everything will be normal. All of a sudden, bro, out of nowhere, these two witches come in, and they save Miss Dellum, and they basically put a spell on the assistant and Van, and they make them like not be able to move anymore. And they take off, they do this spell to to Miss Dellum, and it removes all of the like the plastic and stuff that was on her that was making her into like a live doll, whatever you want to say. So they removed that off of her. I tell her, hey, we've been looking for you for a while. We sensed that you were doing spells, but your spells weren't strong enough, so we couldn't exactly point you out. But we found you in time. Come with us. We'll take care of you. Everything will be good. And so she ends up leaving with them. But before she does, she's like, yo, I can't leave Otis here. And Otis is like, please don't leave me, blah, blah, blah. So she ends up taking Otis with her, and then they all leave. And then it ends up being that, of course, we already knew once the witches came in, this had something to do with the covenant. If you were really smart, you probably would have picked up on the fact that, this girl doing this magic and stuff like that, she has powers. Magic, this probably has something to do with the covenant. So anyways, we pick up, later on, a few days later, whatever it may be, and we see Otis and Miss Dellum, and they're in the front of the Coven house, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, I'm glad everything worked out. And she's like, what, just for your safety, you can't go by Otis no more. What's your middle name? And he says, my middle name is Spaulding. And so if you've watched American Horror Story, The Covenant, you understand that Spaulding was one of the people that were in the Covenant house that just was in that storyline, right? So now we're understanding that this is the origin of him, you know what I'm saying? And a couple seconds after that, after he says that, what is her name? I can't remember her name. Myrtle, she ends up showing up, and it's a young version of her, you know what I'm saying? Because of course this is 1961. So you see how, because I think that, if I'm not mistaken, Myrtle and Mr. Spaulding had like a love type of relationship, if I'm not mistaken, all right? And we see how they both met each other when they were both young, you know what I'm saying? We kind of see how things came to be. So yeah, that was basically it for the episode. 3 of my favorite scenes would be Bonnie dying, bro. She got it bad, bro. She was trying to run after she messed up on that folding up of the shirt or whatever. And then the assistant dude, that fool was like with his little claw hand. God. I was like, yo, she getting murked, man. Like, ain't even no plan, bro. She dead, bro. Anyways, my second favorite scene would be when the witches show up and they save Miss Dellum, bro. That was dope, because you like the way that it ended. If it would have ended that way, bro, that would have been so sad, bro. You feel me? That would have been so sad. So I'm happy that the witches came and they saved Miss Dellum, which in return saves Otis from this crazy life. And they also destroyed and killed the assistant and Van. They burnt them both alive. And my third favorite scene would be Otis, explaining that his middle name is Spaulding, because that, reveals that this is his origin story of how he came to the Covenant. And then also seeing him and Myrtle, have this little encounter when they were young, you know what I'm saying? So we're just seeing something really dope, man. We're seeing something really dope. For me, I'm gonna give this episode a 9 out of 10. All right, 9 out of 10. So definitely not good, definitely not bad. Good to me for sure. Definitely stronger start off than season 1 was. This is definitely a stronger start than season 1. Like I said, I'm gonna go back and make sure that I didn't do the American Horror Story season 1 reviews. If I didn't, I'll come back and do them, or just let you know what I thought of the first season. But this season right here, man, is looking like it's gonna be something good, something special, baby. I hope every single story is somewhat of an origin to one of the seasons of American Horror Story. That will make this show pop more. All right. But anyways, if you saw this episode, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below. Did you enjoy it? Did you feel like it was weak? Are you happy with the way you feel like things are going, or do you think they need to still go in a different way completely? Let me know about that in the comments down below. All right. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. As always, this is Q's Insight. I'm Callie. Until next time.